Am I wrong for telling my mom I will buy my own dress after she called me fat? Hi, I, 19 female, have a wedding to attend that is of some friends of my boyfriend. My mom, 51 female, offered to help me get ready. For context, my mom is gorgeous. She used to be a model. She has always been incredibly beautiful and she has an awesome body. My two brothers, 33 and 31, take after her and are both handsome men. I am the only daughter, and as such, I think she expected someone like her. I'm not like her. I was very thin when I was a kid, but I was a tomboy and I hated everything feminine. Then puberty hit. I gained a lot of weight. I'm not obese, but I am your average chubby person. 77 kg or 165 centimeters. Is that what that is? Overweight, but not overly so, I guess. Also, I don't look a lot after myself in the sense that I don't really go out my way to do skincare, makeup, etc. I love my mom, and she does truly love me, but she isn't a kind person. All through my teenage years, she made a lot of harsh comments about my appearance and my weight. I'm a sensitive person, so this used to affect me a lot. I can usually take criticism fairly enough if it's phrased nicely, but I just can't take it if there's even a hint of mockery or meanness in it. Anyway, it's not that big of a deal now. Years back, I was honest with mom that her comments really affected my self-esteem and she seemed to tone it down. Occasionally, she will still do it, but not often. She just can't help herself, I think. It's her way of showing love, but it makes me hate myself. When I'm not, I feel like some people are just genuinely mean and they don't really care. They're just like, that's just who they are. Anyways, when I'm next to her, she will scan my face for pimples, and if she finds one, she will actively ignore me to pop. What? She will actively ignore me to pop them. Or I will be doing something alone and she will come over to comment that my hair looks bad and I need to use this different product. Or I will be walking and she will comment that my belly is large and I should go to the gym. Things like that. I know they aren't bad, but I can't take it. Poor OP, she's really been brainwashed and been talked down so much that she thinks that someone telling you, your stomach is jiggling, go to the gym, is a nice comment. Like, oh my God, that's so mean. To the situation at hand, she was giving me dresses to use to the wedding. We have always shared dresses, so this isn't news. One of the dresses she lent me was the one that she used 2 years ago at my graduation. I put it on and it was pretty tight. Her and my aunt tried to force it to close, but it was struggling. I said that they should just stop, but they continued to force it and the zipper basically broke down completely. When it happened, my mom blurted out, "Wow, you're really fat." Oh my God, this story just pissed me off. My aunt bursted out laughing and started teasing me about being chubby. I kept silent. We tried a few more dresses. I chose a pretty one that fit well and was elastic, and that was that. Then afterwards, my mom asked me if I really had been going to the gym and said that I would have to suck in my belly during the wedding so it didn't show so much in the dress I picked. I got fed up and told her that I was sick of her comments and I would buy my own dress to go. Mom thinks I blew up at her for nothing and I'm about to spend money over a tantrum. My siblings think I'm being dramatic and that I'm just mad I'm fat. My friends and boyfriend think I'm right. Am I the a-hole? First of all, your siblings and your mom are psychotic. Poor girl, she's talking about, oh, my mom calls me fat all the time. She picks at my hair. She picks at all my flaws. She says, oh, you look nasty and disgusting and but, she's really not that mean. Oh, my God, the psychological abuse for someone to go through all that and to think that it's normal just because it's their mom. Like, this mom is not a good mom at all. Like, she's a mean girl. A lot of girls, their first bullies are their mothers. Am I wrong for telling my daughter she can bring her boyfriend to Thanksgiving? I, 49 female, have 2 kids. Maya, 22 female, and Ben, 19 male. Maya has been dating her boyfriend, Jake, 23 male, for about a year. I've met Jake a few times, and while he's polite on the surface, I find him a bit abrasive. Jake is a vegan and extremely vocal about his food choices. At nearly every family gathering, he's made a pointed comment about our meals, questioning why we eat meat or buy non-organic produce. At first, I brushed it up as a youthful enthusiasm, but over time, it started to grate on me. The last time Jack came over for dinner, I made a pasta dish with a side of salad to accommodate his dietary preferences. Despite this effort, he still managed to criticize the meal, asking why I didn't use real Parmesan cheese since authentic Parmesan isn't vegan. When I offered him dessert, an apple pie I baked from scratch, he declined and he said he doesn't eat sugar because it's toxic. He didn't just decline, though he launched into a 5-minute lecture about how processed foods are ruining society. The rest of the family was visibly uncomfortable, and I had to steer the conversation away to keep the peace. Thanksgiving is a huge deal in our family. We host it every year, and I spend weeks planning the menu. It's all the traditional stuff: turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, green bean casserole, pumpkin pie. I take a lot of pride in the meal, and I love how it brings everyone together. This year, we're hosting about 15 people, including my parents, my sister's family, and a few close friends. A couple of weeks ago, Maya asked if Jake had come. I hesitated, remembering his previous behavior. I told her I wasn't sure it was a good idea. She promised he'd been on his best behavior and wouldn't make any comments about the food. I felt uneasy. I know she loves him, but I didn't think she fully grasped how uncomfortable his attitude has made the rest of us. After thinking about it for a few days, I told her no. I explained that Thanksgiving is stressful enough without worrying about Jake criticizing the meal or making anyone feel judged. I said I wanted this day to be about family, tradition, and enjoyment, not navigating dietary debates or awkward tension. Maya was furious. She accused me of being unfair and disrespectful, saying that Jake is an important part of her life and should be treated as such. She argued that I'm making assumptions about his behavior without giving him a chance to prove he can behave. I tried to explain that it's not personal. I just wanted to avoid conflict, but Maya wouldn't hear it. She said I was being rigid and controlling, and now she's threatening not to come at all if Jake isn't welcome. Ben, 19 male, my son, thinks I'm overreacting and that I should just let Jake come. My husband is caught in the middle. He understands my frustration with Jake, but thinks banning him outright might have been too harsh. Now I'm second-guessing myself. I don't dislike Jake as a person, but his behavior puts me in a difficult position. I don't want to ruin Thanksgiving, but I also don't think it's fair to prioritize Jake's feelings over the comfort of the rest of the family. Maya thinks I'm being unreasonable, Ben thinks I'm being too strict, and my husband just wants everyone to get along. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if I'm being inflexible or if I have the right to set boundaries in my home. Am I the a-hole? I feel like she has the right to set boundaries in her own home. It's not like he did this once or twice. He's been doing this for an entire year. Every single time the family gathers together, he has an entire lecture going on about God knows what. You know what I mean? So if her parents are coming, her friends are coming, it's so embarrassing. I hate when people act out in front of other people. It literally stresses me out. She's right. It's so annoying. It's so stressful. Sounds like OP is going to be the one cooking all day long, probably cleaning all day long, probably setting up all day long. She's probably going to be the one who's going to clean after everybody leaves. And then she has to deal with this man and his slick mouth, and then her family isn't supporting her. I hate when people get, put in a tough situation. It's not even that tough. No, I would just say he's not allowed to come. And if you don't want to come, then don't come either, the hell. Am I wrong for refusing to host Thanksgiving because my family keeps using my house as a free hotel? Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and I feel like I'm on my breaking point. For the past 5 years, I've hosted at my house, and it's gone from being something I genuinely love to something I absolutely dread. The main issue isn't the cooking or cleaning, it's how my family treats my home like a free hotel. They don't just come for the meal, they show up days early and act like they're on vacation. My brother brings his kids, who immediately take over the living room with toys, snacks, and whatever mess they can make. My sister doesn't lift a finger, claiming she's just here to relax. And my mom spends the entire time critiquing everything I do. She even made me iron the tablecloth last year, saying it was embarrassing for the family to eat on wrinkles. Last year was the final straw. My brother's kids raided the fridge the morning after Thanksgiving, finishing off the leftover pie I was saving to share with my in-laws that weekend. No one helped clean up after dinner. My husband and I spent 2 hours washing dishes while everyone else lounged in the living room drinking wine. When I complained later, my sister rolled her eyes and said, "Well, you're the one who wanted to host." This year, I decided I wasn't going to do it. Back in September, I told everyone I needed a break and suggested we rotate hosting duties or go out to a restaurant. My mom said I was being selfish and that my house is the most comfortable. My sister flat out refused, saying her apartment is too small, and my brother said he's too busy to host because of his work schedule. Since then, they've been constantly pressuring me to change my mind. My mom even said, "You're ruining Thanksgiving for everyone." And my brother promised to help more this year, though I've heard that before. Now, with only a day to go, no one has stepped up to host, and the family group chat is passive aggressive mess. My mom keeps implying that Thanksgiving may not happen at all if I don't agree to host, which makes me feel terrible. One hand, I feel like it's unfair for them to expect me to carry the burden year after year, especially when they treat me and my home with so little respect. On the other hand, the idea of Thanksgiving falling apart because of me is making me second guess myself. Part of me wonders if I should just suck it up and host to keep the peace, but another part of me feels like I deserve a break too. Am I wrong for standing my ground and refusing to host this year? One thing about me is I hate having guests over. I have a lot of little siblings running around. There's a lot going on in our house. There's just too many people already within my family in this house that we live in. I hate having a guest here. It stresses me out. I cannot imagine having my brother, my sister, my brother's kids, my mom, so and so, just lounging, come for a dinner. But why the hell are you coming 3-4 days before? Do you think this is a hotel? Is this a vacation? I would just say no. OP needs to stand up for herself. OP needs to say no and stand on her grounds. Just celebrate Thanksgiving with your husband or with your own kids. Clearly, your other family members are ungrateful, selfish brats. Am I wrong for repeating what my brother-in-law said about my sons and getting him uninvited from Thanksgiving? Trigger warning, essay. 35 male here. I'm a husband and father of a 5-year-old identical twin boys. Our boys are adorable and sweet, but are definitely high energy and keep us on our toes. My wife is pregnant with our third and last child, and we recently found out we're having a girl. My wife is an incredible mom, but she had a hard childhood. Her father abused her and eventually went to prison for it. My wife isn't estranged from her mom, but she's not particularly close with her either. My wife cares a lot that our children are safe and happy after the childhood she endured. She absolutely adores our sons and has never once seen them as anything other than her sweet babies. You guys, to be honest, I didn't read the story yet, so I'm I don't know what's about to come up. My older sister, 38 female, has 2 daughters and is married to a dude named Sean. I love my sister, but her husband can be a jerk and often makes rude comments without thinking about their impact. My wife doesn't like to talk about her abuse, but my family knows what happened, since it's a huge part of her family's history and her mom is pretty vocal about her ex-husband. My parents, sister, and brother have never expressed anything other than support for my wife and sadness that she had that experience. But Sean has made some odd comments. I never told my wife this, but before we got married, he said I was a good man for sticking with a girl with that much baggage. Oh, yikes. Anyways, last night we went to my sister's and Sean's house for dinner. My wife was in a great mood and was excited to share that we're having a little girl. My sister was thrilled and congratulated us. Sean said congratulations, but then mentioned he's relieved we're not having another boy. I asked what he meant, and Sean said the risk of a girl turning out the wrong way is much lower. Again, I asked him to clarify. He proceeded to ask my wife if she ever worried she would pass her family's sexual problems down to our kids. My wife was shook and horrified, and she said what her father did has nothing to do with our children. Sean said that the issue her father had are genetics. I don't necessarily think being a perv is a genetic thing, though. Do you guys think? And so statistically, we're more likely to have boys with the same problem. My wife asked how he could possibly look at our sweet, innocent boys and worry that they'll grow into monsters. Sean said that her father was a sweet, innocent boy once too, and he still abused her. My wife started sobbing, and I was in complete shock. My sister said that Sean was being insensitive, but maintained that he was technically right. She said they didn't think that our kids would turn out like their grandfather, but it's something to watch for, just in case. I wanted to punch Sean in that moment, but my wife begged me to just get the boys and go. My wife cried the whole drive home. I told my wife that our kids are not going to be like her father, and she said she knows, but it's hard to know if family members would judge innocent children because of something their grandfather did. My wife and I were talking about it more, and we realized that Sean has always been a bit weird towards our kids. He gets agitated when they're energetic and seems overprotective of his girls around them. For example, once the kids were all having a pillow fight, and one of my sons accidentally hit one of his female cousins in the eye, He apologized, cried because he hurt her, and gave her a big hug. My brother-in-law yelled at my son and said he was being aggressive toward his daughter. Everyone thought the reaction was overblown at the time since it was clearly an accident. But now, I wonder if he reacted that way because he expected my son to turn out the wrong way. I called my mother this morning and explained the entire conversation. My mom was horrified and agreed that what my brother-in-law said was insane and unacceptable. I told my mom that my wife is pregnant and doesn't need any additional stress. So, if my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are going to be at Thanksgiving, we'll be celebrating our sister-in-law. Does he mean his own sister and brother-in-law? That we will be celebrating on our own. My mom is very upset about what Sean said about her grandkids, and she agrees that he shouldn't be at Thanksgiving this year. I got a call from my sister an hour ago, and she's furious. She says her husband was just voicing a concern, especially since they have daughters, and we took it the wrong way. She also said that her daughters want to see their grandparents on Thanksgiving, and they're being punished for what their dad said. I said that my boys were being judged based on their genetic relationship to a man they never even met. My sister asked if I would call our mom and ask her to reconsider, and I said absolutely not. Am I the a-hole? I feel like this is why I always say if you can keep such like family big things like this a secret, you should just keep it a secret. Granted, you can't keep this secret because her father is actually in jail, so there's proof of what he did. But people are so mean and vile that you cannot even be vulnerable, that you cannot share your past experience, that you cannot share your horrible traumas, because at any given moment it's going to be thrown in your face. Whether it's them saying that you're going to turn out exactly like your parents, or your kids are going to do exactly what your parents or the person that abused you did, or whatever it is. Like, they always find a way for shaming you for what happened to you. And it's so annoying because when something traumatic happened to you, when somebody's reminding you about it over and over and over, it's less likely for you to get over it. And it's just more hurtful because if something causes you so much pain and somebody not only keeps reminding you of it, but then they're shaming you for it one way or the other, that's just too much. I feel so bad for OP. To get touched by your own father, to get abused by the person that's supposed to protect you the most in this world is so sad. And this brother-in-law seems like an a-hole. These are little boys. When they become teenagers, if they do things, yeah. But they're just innocent 5-year-old boys. Why would you think about children like that? Granted, everybody wasn't once innocent, but give them a chance too. What did they do? Am I wrong for ruining Thanksgiving after my mother-in-law told everyone about my miscarriages? 32 female. I spent Thanksgiving with my in-laws, and it was one of the most upsetting days of my life. My husband and I have been trying for a baby for around 3 years. Last year, I got pregnant and miscarried twice. It was devastating, and my greatest fear is that I'll never be able to have a child with my husband. In October, I found out I was pregnant for the 3rd time. We were thrilled, but also cautious because of my history with miscarriages. Originally, the plan was to keep it between us until I made it to the 2nd trimester. Unfortunately, I have a well-intentioned yet nosy mother-in-law. We were at dinner one night with my in-laws, and my mother-in-law noticed I wasn't drinking. My mother-in-law asked if I was pregnant, and I'm horrible at hiding my emotions, so my reaction to her question gave it away. I admitted that I was pregnant, but explained that we're very cautious and want to keep it private until I make it to the 2nd trimester. Sadly, I miscarried around a week ago, and I was crushed. It's been terrible, but I'm trying to stay busy to keep my mind off of it. Initially, I wanted to skip Thanksgiving, but I wanted my husband to see his family, and I thought it might lift my spirits to be surrounded by loved ones. I wanted to tell my mother-in-law about the miscarriage in person, since it felt strange talking to her about it over the phone, but she wasn't free to see me this week. My plan was to talk to her the day after Thanksgiving when we could have a moment alone. Almost immediately after we arrived at my in-laws' house, my mother-in-law's sister hugged me and congratulated me on the pregnancy. I was shocked, since my mother-in-law agreed not to tell anyone. I considered saying thank you to not draw attention to myself and put a damper on the night, but I couldn't hide my emotions, and I told her I miscarried. She hugged me and apologized for my loss. A few minutes later, my sister-in-law came over to us and congratulated me. I started tearing up as I explained for the 2nd time that I miscarried. They were both kind, but I was very emotional and frustrated since my in-laws agreed to keep it private, and this was the exact situation I was seeking to avoid. A few minutes after I spoke to my sister-in-law, My mother-in-law pulled me to the side and asked why I didn't tell her about the miscarriage. She said it hurt having to hear the news from her older sister instead of me directly. I said that I wanted to tell her in person and was planning on telling her in the morning when we had a moment to ourselves. I said I wasn't expecting to be confronted about the pregnancy since she agreed to keep it private. My mother-in-law said she only told her sister and daughter, which was to be expected in the situation since she was excited. I was furious, but didn't have the energy to argue about it, so I said we should talk about it later and enjoy the holiday. I left my mother-in-law and went to socialize with the other relatives. When it was time to eat, my mother-in-law stood up to give the blessing. She started to talk but then got emotional and began to cry. She asked the family to keep me in their thoughts and prayers since I recently miscarried. She added that I've miscarried twice before and it's been an emotional experience for everyone. I had only told my mother-in-law and father-in-law about the previous miscarriages, so she was once broadcasting my personal medical information. My mother-in-law started talking directly to me and said she knows I'll get through this and that I'll make an amazing mom someday. I couldn't control my emotions and started sobbing in front of the entire family. I was crying so hard that I was practically choking on my tears and I couldn't catch my breath. My husband was furious and asked his mom why she thought it was appropriate to tell people about my pregnancy and miscarriages. My mother-in-law responded by saying she loves us so much and that she was just excited to be a grandma. With respect to the miscarriages, she said we deserve the family love and support during this difficult time. My husband announced we were leaving and we left before the turkey was even served. I cried myself to sleep and woke up feeling horrible. This morning, my mother-in-law showed up at my house unannounced. She said she wanted to talk to us about what happened. My husband was still fuming. I told him to let me speak to his mom privately to avoid another fight. I was still upset about what happened, but I wanted to make peace and was willing to accept her apology since the situation has been hard on everyone. My mother-in-law and I sat down together, and instead of apologizing, she lectured me about how I should have told her about the miscarriage before sharing the news with other relatives. She said it was hard to hear the news from her sister when she was looking forward to a happy Thanksgiving. She was also upset that I dropped this horrible news at dinner and that I should have found a way to tell her before the holiday, even if it was over the phone. She also said that if I was still too emotional over the miscarriage, I shouldn't have come to Thanksgiving and risk upsetting all the guests. She said she knows I'm going through a lot and forgives me, but she wanted to be honest about her feelings. I was floored. I told my mother-in-law that I may have made some mistakes, but all of this could have been avoided if she had followed through on her promise to keep the pregnancy private. I said she owed both my husband and myself an apology. My mother-in-law asked if I would also apologize for making a scene at Thanksgiving. How did she make a scene? By crying out of anger because you told her business to everyone that had no business knowing? I didn't think I owed her an apology under the circumstances, and I expressed that clearly. She left in tears and said I was lashing out because of the traumatic pregnancies. Wow. And this is exactly why you don't tell your personal traumatic issues to people that are in your life, because they will always find a way to throw it back in your face. Oh, I told your personal business that I promised to keep a secret to everybody and their mother. And instead of apologizing, I'm throwing what you went through in your face because, oh, you must be emotional because of that. Because there's no way I'm wrong, even though I'm the one who told your business. Like, oh my God, what? My husband said I shouldn't apologize and also canceled our Christmas plans with his family. Well, I hope she's not going to Christmas after what happened. While I think my mother-in-law behaved poorly, part of me wants to apologize to defuse the situation. I also know that this has been challenging for my mother-in-law as well, and we don't always react perfectly in these situations. I also feel badly that I let my emotions get the better of me and put a damper on the evening. Obi is too nice. Oh my God, she's already going through a lot, and something like this to happen to her, and she's still being considerate of her mother-in-law who literally ruined her evening that was already ruined by her miscarriage. Her feelings, she's too nice. Am I wrong for refusing to let my roommate's boyfriend live with us after he tested me? I, 19 female, live with my roommate, let's call her Ashley, 20 female, in a small 2-bedroom apartment. We've been friends since high school and decided to split rent when we both started college. Things were fine at first, but then she started dating Jake, 22 mil. At first, he was over a couple of nights a week, which I didn't mind, but over the past few months, he's basically moved in, eating our food, using our stuff, and not contributing a single dime to our rent or bills. I finally had enough and told Ashley that Jake either needed to start paying his share or stop practically living here. She apologized and said she'd talk to him. I thought that was the end of it. Fast forward to last week. I was getting ready to head out to a late night study group when Jake cornered me in the kitchen. He told me he wanted to test me to see if I'd be a good person to live with full time. I was confused and I asked what he meant. He said that if I wanted him to pay rent, I had to prove I was roommate material by showing I could handle sharing the space with someone like him. He then gave me a list of rules he wanted me to follow if he officially moved in. Things like doing my share of the cooking, even though I already make my own meals, not bring any guys over. I'm single, but why is that even relevant? And being respectful of his gaming time by keeping the Wi-Fi free during his streams. I'm sorry, but this man doesn't live in this house. He doesn't live in this house, and he's not paying a single dime or contributing nothing. Look, why are you giving me rules in my own home, sir? What the hell? Get out. I laughed in his face and told him there was no way he was moving in. He got pissed and told Ashley I was being unreasonable. She confronted me and said Jake was just testing the waters and that I should have been more open to the idea. She accused me of being jealous because I'm single and suggested I was trying to sabotage their relationship. Now she's saying if I can be supportive, then maybe she should get a new roommate, one who respects her relationship. I think this is completely insane. But Ashley and a couple of her friends are siding with Jake. They're calling me selfish and controlling. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let him move in after? No, you're not. Move. If anything, she just needs to move out. Because what do you mean that you're giving me rules in my own home? In a home where I'm paying rent and bills, where you're not contributing a single dime. You're coming to see your girlfriend, sir. See her and then leave. And what does she mean? Oh, you're jealous of my boyfriend and my relationship. I hate male-centered women who talk like this and act like this. I would have punched in her throat because, girl, shut up. Am I wrong for rejecting my friend's request to have an open relationship with my husband? I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 32 male, for 5 years. We have 2 beautiful kids, 5 male and 6 female, and have a very strong relationship and are happy together. Recently, my friend Lisa, 29 female, confided in me that she has developed feelings for my husband. She said that she finds him attractive and admires our relationship, and she asked if we could consider having an open relationship so she could be with him too. I was shocked, and I told her no, explaining that my husband and I are committed to each other and that we are not interested in an open relationship. Lisa got upset and accused me of being selfish and closed-minded. Mind you, this is her husband. She argued that modern relationships should be flexible and that I was denying her happiness. What? Since then, Lisa has been distant and has been spreading rumors in our friend group, suggesting that I am overly possessive and controlling. This has caused a lot of tension, and some of our mutual friends are now taking sides. My husband is supportive of my decision, but I feel guilty for the drama it has caused. So, am I the a-hole for rejecting my friend's request to have an open relationship with my husband? Update. After reading some of your comments, I decided to bring the group out for coffee and I told them all about what Lisa said and the real story. I also showed them the Reddit post. After showing them, there were 2 girls that were still on Lisa's side, so I took some advice from the comments and said, let Lisa sleep with your husband, then you can be on her side. After that, everyone was on my side, thankfully. Lisa wasn't happy at all and she started ranting about how it wasn't fair. She just wanted to experience something new. And it wasn't even that bad of a request. You're making it such a big deal. Which I didn't get. Me and the rest of the group have officially cut contact with Lisa, just hoping she doesn't try to reach out. Also, just clarifying that Lisa also asked my husband for an open marriage. He also rejected, saying that even if I would never want to go out with you. I'm thinking of cutting off the ladies that were on Lisa's side for so long, but I'm not sure if they heard a different story or not. So, should I? First of all, can't contact up with Lisa and your little friends because they seem to be a bunch of dummies. Where does someone get the audacity to come up to someone and say, hey, I think your husband is attractive, I'm sad and lonely, and I want a new experience, let me sleep with him. And then get upset and get baffled when the person says no. It baffles me the audacities these people have. Every time I read a Reddit story, I think, damn, the next story can't be that bad. I read the next story, and it surely is that bad. Like, what? Am I wrong for refusing to cancel a 2-year planned trip to attend my brother's last-minute wedding? I, 36 now, have been planning a big trip with my 2 best friends for over 2 years. The trip is set for January and is a 3-week adventure in another country where we'll be celebrating New Year's together. I've been looking forward to this trip for ages, and I talk about it often since it's a huge deal to me. My friends and I all worked hard to get the time off, save up, and plan everything out. And honestly, this is a bucket list kind of experience for us. Now the issue, my brother 32 Mil and his girlfriend, who have been dating for about a year and a half, recently announced that they're getting married. They planned it all pretty fast and are having an intimate wedding with just close family and friends. They sent out invitations only 2 months in advance for a wedding that's in early January, right in the middle of my trip. To make things more complicated, my brother asked me to be his best man and give a speech. I was genuinely happy for him and politely reminding him that I wouldn't be able to attend because of this long-planned trip. He knows all about it since I've been talking about it a lot out of excitement. He kept insisting though, saying he needs me there and that being his best man is more important than a friend's trip. I understand that a wedding is a big deal and I do feel bad that I won't be there, but the timing is really tough. Canceling this trip would let down my 2 best friends who aren't invited to the wedding as they aren't friends with my brother. It would mean losing a ton of money. My family is split on this, something my brother should understand, while others think I'm being selfish for not adjusting my plans for his big day. Am I the a-hole for sticking with my trip and not agreeing to be his best man? I feel like if the trip was going to be missed, like if he was going to start planning the trip right now, then, you could say, oh, we'll push it back a little farther after the wedding or something like that. But this has literally, from the sound of it, it sounds like it's been made a long time ago. Like this was a pre-planned thing. If your brother really loved you, he would say, hey, this is very important to my brother. He's spending all this money, all this time. He waited all this time for this very important trip to him. Let's just push back our wedding. Because mind you, the wedding was not planned before the trip. The trip was planned before the wedding. I don't know. Some people I would just not go, to be honest. If I spent all this money, I waited all this time, and I have made a commitment, I would just go. What'd you guys do? Am I wrong for refusing to give leftovers to a potluck? I can't say that word. Potluck guest who did not chip in. So we lived for nearly 20 years in a townhouse complex with a lot of neighbors about the same age. A bunch of us got friendly and would gather on someone's patio or roof deck for happy hour once or twice a week. It was understood to be bring your own bottle, so everyone would show up with a drink or a glass of wine and maybe a bottle of wine for their own refills. Except Betsy, she will always come with a glass of water and toss it back. Then she would grab someone else's bottle of wine and top up their glass, whether they needed it or not, then pour a bunch in her glass. We will always let her go because we figured she was broke and she never raided the same bottle twice. Sometimes we would all throw our money together and order food for delivery, usually pizza, and Betsy always managed to eat 2 large helpings of the shared food. It took a while for us to clue in, but some of us started to notice that Betsy always forgot her wallet and never really put any money into the pot. And we mentioned it to each other, but never really did anything about it, as it was kind of awkward. And it really is awkward, though, to be honest, because I feel like I would be feeling weird if I denied someone food of all things, Ugh, I hate when people are so weird and they put people in a weird, in an awkward situation. When she says 2 large helpings, like when somebody has food or you go over to someone's house and they say, oh, help yourself to that. Like, does she mean by that? Is that what that means? Because I'm not familiar with 2 large helpings. Anyways, the straw that broke the camel's back was the time happy hour dinner was at our place. Bessie kept going into our fridge and pouring herself wine from our bottle. Then we all decided to order really good Thai food for delivery, and Betsy as usual didn't contribute, and it was pretty expensive as we may kind of over-ordered. As usual, Betsy ate 2 huge helpings. She keeps saying that, helpings. Anyways, when it came time for people to head home, she packed up the leftover Thai food containers and headed for the door. But I grabbed them from her and split them into a few bags and gave them to others to take home and didn't give anything to her. She made a big stink about it not getting any of the leftovers, but I told her she didn't deserve any since she didn't contribute anything towards the food bill. Some of the neighbors thought it was mean of me not to give her any leftovers, but others who had noticed Betsy never contributing thought I was in the right. Betsy broke into tears and took off and stopped coming to happy hours with us. Was I the a-hole for not letting Betsy take the leftovers? And I guess I was a bit of an a-hole to her. I probably should have just have asked her to take a plate of the leftovers but leave some for others. I guess in that instance, since she should have just said, hey, can you leave some for the others? But where do people get the audacity again? Like, she didn't contribute to the bill. She ate the food when it came, and then she took all of it, the rest of the leftovers. Like, I'm really against, embarrassing people in front of other people, but at what point does it get to that you just have to do some dumb thing like this, where you have to embarrass somebody in front of everyone? Because some people, they just have no social awareness. A group of people paid for the food. You didn't put any dime in it. You ate the food when it came, and then you thought, oh, let me take the rest of the leftovers home. Damn. I don't know. I feel like since they never really talked to her about it, she should have just took her aside and said, hey, like, I noticed you're always, never paying for anything, and that you have a bad habit of going into people's fridges and taking food from people that you have no business taking from. Do you mind, like, next time maybe putting some money towards the orders, or maybe bringing your own bottle, or maybe not taking everything that's a leftover home buy for yourself? Like, she should have just talked to her first, because I feel like sometimes when certain people do certain behaviors and no one says anything, they think, oh, like, they don't care, so this might be okay. And truly it's not, but still. Am I wrong for giving my ring back after my fiancé made a comment to his guy friends regarding why we haven't gotten married? My fiancé and I, both 30, have been together for 8 years and engaged for 4 years. We got engaged right before COVID really hit, and obviously that put a huge halt on any sort of planning. And then from there forward, life events halted and more. Became homeless, ended up pregnant and having our child. Now we are back on our feet, but not financially where we could be yet. Back roughly 5 months ago-ish, I brought up marriage and basically approached the idea of having a backyard wedding and a potluck. Basically going cheap because I don't really care so much about the wedding or price or whatever. I just want to wear a pretty dress and have all eyes on me and get married to the love of my life. I don't care about the expensive bells and whistles. When I brought it up, he told me that wouldn't be a bad idea and that we could probably try planning for July-ish 2025. Okay, but we haven't really talked about it since that point, as other stuff came up. Here's the issue, though. Back a month ago, we were down to our neighbor's home. People who grown to be really good friends since we moved here 1.5 years ago. I was hanging out with the neighbor's wife and her best friend. My fiancé was hanging out with a group of guys, 3 or 4, having beers and working on vehicles. Well, one of the guys there was talking about his wife and said, once you get married, everything stops. I overheard in the middle of the conversation, so I had no idea what stopped during marriage, but it was a negative comment regardless. But anyways, my fiancé then starts laughing and goes, that's why I've been dragging my feet on marriage. And the guys just laughed and said, don't do it, man. It's a trap, etc., etc. It really hurt me, but I figured it was just a locker room talk and tried my best to move on. But I couldn't let it go. It sat in the back of my head. So a couple of weeks ago, I brought up getting married again and just ran some ideas by him on simple things like what he saw our wedding colors being. And he shut down a bit and said something to the effect of, I think we need to weigh the pros and cons of being married first, and shut down the conversation. Instant plunge to my gut, honestly. So I walk outside to calm myself down, but I just couldn't shake it, honestly. So I went back inside and calmly handed my ring back and asked him what he wanted for dinner. I didn't want to make a big deal, so there was no yelling, no crying, nothing. I was calm and moved on. But he instantly asked me what I was doing and why I gave the ring back. So I mentioned his comment to his buddies about dragging his feet, and now his comment about needing to weigh the pros and cons before going through with anything. and told him I don't want to wait, nor do I want to get my hopes up for a marriage that he's clearly changed his mind about. So I would just rather he have the ring back and go into this without the sound of wedding bells in my head. Let's just move on, basically. We could still be together, but I don't want my hopes up. Well, he got extremely defensive, started saying, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, or you're being extreme for no reason. Am I the a-hole? I don't understand the idea of having a child before you get married. Obviously, if you're engaging in, yeah, you're gonna have a child. Obviously, things happen, accidents happen. But in what world is having a baby less commitment than getting married? Because technically, they are married. They're living together. They're sharing financial responsibilities. They have an entire child together. They're running a home together. What else is gonna change besides the courts knowing that they're married? I don't get it. Like, what is gonna change? If you live together with someone and on top of that you have a child with them, what is the difference between being married? Like, besides like the title and the government knowing that y'all are married, what else is gonna change? This just pisses me off. She needs to break up with him, if anything, because why would you want to be with the man and having his baby when you want to get married and he doesn't want to marry you? That makes no sense. That's like saying, what term thing that people say, like, why would I buy the cow when I get the milk for free or something? Yeah, it's not something. That's exactly what it is. Why would you buy the cow if you're getting the milk for free? Am I wrong for being hurt that my mother-in-law wanted to exclude my daughter from Thanksgiving and Christmas to protect my sister-in-law? I'm 31 female. I'm married to my husband, Tyler, 32 male, and I gave birth to our first child, a baby girl, almost 3 months ago. So she already gave birth. Anyways, I love Tyler very much, and I always felt grateful that I married into the family I did. I grew up with a single mom, and it was always just the two of us. I love my mother dearly, but I always wished I had a larger family unit with siblings when I was little. My mom passed away from ovarian cancer about 2 years ago, so now I truly don't have family apart from my in-laws. By contrast, my husband's parents are happily married, and he's one of 4 children. Everyone has always been kind and welcoming to me, and I always have a blast at their holidays and family reunions. I can't say that word, you guys. It's one of the words that I cannot say. Reunions. Like, I can say it when I say it like that, but when I'm reading fast or when I'm talking fast, reunions. I don't know. The only exception is Tyler's twin sister, Ashley. Since I met her, Ashley has been cold and standoffish towards me, especially compared to her friendly younger brothers and parents. She's never been outright mean to me, but she's also never made much of an effort to ask me questions or get to know me. I know she also has some resentment towards Tyler and sometimes comments on the fact that he's the favorite and that everything comes easy to him. Some of her comments irk me since I know how hard Tyler has worked for his success, and I also see that he has struggles he doesn't share with the family since he doesn't like to burden others. I never said anything about the comments since Tyler accepts it. It's the way she is and doesn't get too bothered by her. Even though Ashley and I are far from best friends, I've been sad to learn that she's had a hard time getting pregnant. She and her husband have been trying for around 2 years now, and she recently had a miscarriage. I've tried to be mindful of what she's going through and intentionally avoid talking about my pregnancy and now baby around her. I even declined my mother-in-law's offer to throw me a baby shower since I thought it would be difficult for Ashley with everything going on. With that being said, the entire family has been incredibly excited about my daughter. My husband is the first of his siblings to have a child, and so it's exciting time in transition for the family. Yesterday, my mother-in-law and father-in-law came to our house for dinner. My mother-in-law says she has something difficult to speak with us about and started talking about what a hard few years has been for Ashley. My mother-in-law said Ashley excited for us, but it's painful to see with an infant when she's wanted to be a mother for so long. She said Ashley is dreading the holidays because she's worried everyone will be focusing on and fussing over the new baby. My mother-in-law said that she was looking forward to spending the holidays with us, especially since it's our daughter's first Thanksgiving and Christmas, but she's trying to think of her daughter's feelings as well. My mother-in-law basically asked if we could either set out on the family Thanksgiving and Christmas this year or hire a sitter to watch her daughter so all the focus won't be on her. My mother-in-law even floated the idea of me staying home with the baby and my husband stopping by quickly to say hello. My husband was livid. He said that Ashley should be the one to stay home if she can't manage her emotions. And my mother-in-law said that Ashley is going through a lot and needs her family right now. My husband said he's not celebrating the holidays with the family unless the baby and I are both included. I started crying, which surprised everyone since I rarely show emotion. I said that I feel terrible for Ashley, but I'm incredibly sad and disappointed that my daughter is being excluded. I explained that I don't have family now that my mother is gone, and so I really want my child to have a strong bond with her grandparents, uncles, and aunt. My mother-in-law said there will be opportunities in the future for her to bond with the family. I said I don't think I'll feel welcome in the future now that I know they're so willing to exclude both myself and my daughter. I said it's sad that we're clearly not viewed as an important part of the family since my mother-in-law was so quick to suggest we both stay home. I said I understand that Ashley is her daughter, and so her loyalty will always be with her first, but also I'm very hurt by the request. My mother-in-law started to backtrack and said that she loves me and her granddaughter very much, and that this clearly wasn't the right way to handle the situation. She said she was trying to do the right thing, but she didn't spend enough time thinking everything through. My husband was still fuming and asked his parents to leave even though his mom was crying and begging to work things out. I have gotten several calls from my mother-in-law today. I know I should give her a call and hear what she has to say, but I'm still so hurt. My husband is also upset and doesn't want to participate in the holidays this year. Maybe I'm being selfish under the circumstances, but I can't believe how easily they could exclude my baby. Am I the a-hole? I mean, exactly. Like, why are they? Is she not important? That's literally their grandchild's mother who, based on her circumstances, is kind of going through a hard time herself. Her mom died. She has nobody else. The only person she had was her mom, and her mom literally passed away. And she just gave birth 3 months ago. Why would you just say, oh, let's just exclude her and her baby? Plus, like, what if the sister-in-law never gives birth? What if she never has a baby? Were they going to exclude this OP and her daughter for the rest of their lives? I'm so confused. That's just so weird. If somebody's part of your family and you love them dearly, even if somebody else who you love dearly that's part of the family also is going through something, you don't just exclude them. That's so weird. That's just a very, very odd thing to do, to be honest. And yeah, like, sister-in-law not being able to have a baby is sad and all. But at the end of the day, what can OP do about that? Maybe tell other family members, hey, can you guys please, not focus on the baby too much and not be doing all the, oh my God, the baby's so cute. And sister-in-law, when are you going to have a baby? Like, tell the other family members, hey, take a notch a bit. Because my daughter is going through it these days. She doesn't want to hear that. But to exclude the baby and an OP, that's such an odd thing to do. Like, if that was me, I would have been like, okay, and I'm never going to come to any event that you guys are having hosting. Goodbye, and I'm never talking to y'all because OP is being way too nice. Because obviously that's not her mom. So the mother-in-law, her loyalty is going to be with her daughter always. Because why was it so easy for her to disregard OP and her grandbaby? That's just a weird thing to do. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband's dad and dad's wife that I will not change our daughter's name because it hurts the wife's feelings? The title is getting me all sorts of confused. My husband's 29 male. Parents divorced when he was 2. His dad married again 2 years later. Father-in-law's wife is Sharon. Sharon and my late mother-in-law, who died when my husband was 8, were on very bad terms. Sharon said my mother-in-law made her life hell, wished her dead, laughed when she suffered 3 back-to-back miscarriages, tried to get CPS, take custody from father-in-law and her, and try to get her out of the picture for good with CPS. Sharon said the only reason my husband never called her anything other than Sharon and has always seen her as an outsider is because of my mother-in-law. My father-in-law's own siblings has said this is not accurate, and Sharon and mother-in-law just disliked each other. That, yeah, my mother-in-law was dismissive of Sharon's role at times and didn't regard her as equal in parenting, but was nowhere near as bad as Sharon and father-in-law claim. When my mother-in-law died, my husband's relationship with my father-in-law and with Sharon deteriorated significantly. He forbid them from attending the funeral for him and said if they try to come, he would run away until he was placed with other family members. My husband told me about this himself. Father-in-law and Sharon said they feared my husband would start lashing out on them, and Sharon was pregnant at the time, so they gave in. They say my husband hates them for not being there. He said them following them through and not going is one of the better decisions they made. and he hates that he had to yell and threaten to run away for them to stop insisting. By the time we met in college, he was pretty low on contact with them. There has been some more in the last couple of years, but barely. I got the whole story from him and how rocky stuff was there, and I knew he never planned to be very close to them. Sharon calls my husband her son. She actually introduced herself to me as his mom and was shocked that I knew she wasn't his mom. I haven't met her or father-in-law too much. I know my husband's extended family far better. He's much closer to them than father-in-law, Sharon, or his half-siblings. I gave birth to our daughter recently and we named her after my mother-in-law. My husband did not invite father-in-law or Sharon to meet our daughter, but they found out by social media about the name we chose and they reached out to ask him why. Then they approached me at the mall a couple of days ago and asked me to talk to them. They told me they found out her name and they wanted to know why we would do that to Sharon and how could I be okay with my daughter being used to hurt her feelings. They said I should insist on a different name, maybe something after Sharon because she's been here all this time, but definitely not a name that hurts her feelings so much. I told them I will not change my child's name because it hurts her feelings, and that isn't even on a list of things to consider for us. I didn't want to hear more, so I left, but we are getting inundated with texts from them calling me rude and disgusting for dismissing Sharon's feelings. Am I the a-hole? Am I wrong for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she wants to repurpose my wedding dress? The right way I can because family knows my main. People follow each other on Reddit? Anyways, I, 28 female, got married last year in a small but beautiful ceremony. My husband and I spent months planning every detail, and the highlight for me was my wedding dress. I saved up for years to buy this dress. It was my dream dress. It's this beautiful lace A-line gown with intricate beadwork and a long train. I feel like a princess and still get emotional just thinking about it. Fast forward to now, my sister, 26 female, is engaged, and her wedding is coming up in 6 months. She recently came over to our place to chat about wedding plans. At one point, she casually mentioned that she'd love to borrow my dress. She thinks it would be cute to repurpose it, and maybe by shortening the skirt or even dyeing it a different color so it's unique for her. Where do people get this audacity? I was taken aback. I told her I was uncomfortable with her altering my dress, especially since it has a lot of sentimental value to me. She got upset and said I was being selfish because she wanted to save money on her wedding and families should support each other. When I stood my ground, she accused me of not caring about her big day and stormed out. My parents later called me and said I was breaking her heart by refusing to share. They said that since I'm married and down with the dress, it should be I don't understand. This is not a slice of pizza. This is literally an entire wedding dress. They said that since I'm married and done with the dress, it shouldn't be a big deal, but it is a big deal to me. I want to keep my dress as it is. They suggested I just let her have her way to avoid family drama, but honestly, I feel like it's my dress and my decision. Now my sister says she won't feel comfortable with me at her wedding unless I show my support by letting her use the dress. I don't want to miss her wedding, but I also don't want to give in to something I'm not comfortable with. Am I wrong for refusing to let her repurpose my wedding dress and considering not attending the wedding? Honestly, I wouldn't attend the wedding at all because what do you mean that I have to have your wedding or I have to have your wedding dress or there's no wedding? If her sister didn't get married and her sister didn't have this dress, what was she planning to use to get married? I'm so confused. Like, some family members are so annoying. I would just say, okay, then girl, don't get married. The hell that got to do with me? What were you planning to use as a wedding dress before you seen my dress? Plus, what do you mean refusing to share and family supports each other? This is not a slice of pizza 2 kids are trying to share. It's a literal wedding dress. I would have said no. I don't care if you get married. Hell, matter of fact, be single for the rest of your damn life and never have a wedding. Like, some people are just so annoying. Top comment. OP, enjoy your night away from family drama. You and your husband will save time and stress not being at this wedding. P.S. I hope you've cleaned this dress and used one of those archival dress services and kept the box far away from your sister being allowed to snoop. And I agree, because what do you mean you can't come to my wedding if I don't use your wedding dress? Like, that line alone is just pissing me off. What? Am I wrong for a reason to let my sister stay with me after she got married and demanded I adjust my lifestyle for her husband? Okay, so I, 28 female, have a pretty established routine.
I live alone in a 2-bedroom apartment, and while I'm not a neat freak, I like my space to be organized and have a certain vibe to think minimalist, calm, and quiet. My sister, 30 female, recently got married to this guy, 31 male, who I barely know. They live about 3 hours away, and since their wedding was a month ago, she's been asking to stay with me for a few weeks. Normally, I'd be fine with it. I love my sister, but there's a catch. When I agreed, she dropped the bomb that she's bringing her husband with her. Apparently, he doesn't feel comfortable being alone for extended periods, so she wants me to adjust my lifestyle for them as a couple. This means rearranging my apartment for them, having quiet hours during the day because he works from home, and no longer playing music or hosting friends when they're around. Oh, and she suggested I stop using the guest room for my own hobbies, which is how I unwind after work. Basically, I'm supposed to cater to their needs and make space for their relationship. I told her I was uncomfortable with that, especially since I don't even know her husband that well and wasn't planning on making my home into a mini hotel or daycare for them. She got super upset, called me selfish, and said it's just for a couple of weeks. But I'm really not okay with it. I feel like I would be giving up a lot of my personal space and peace of mind just for her convenience. Now she's starting not to visit at all, and I'm feeling guilty, but also I don't get it. I don't want to, like, this is like a like story. Why are these people threatening their family members? Oh, if you don't give me your wedding dress, you can't come to my wedding. Oh, if you don't let my husband come and treat your apartment like a damn hotel, then I won't come. Like, then don't come. Honestly, don't come. What? Anyways, now she's threatening not to visit at all, and I'm feeling guilty, but also like she's overstepping.
Am I the a-hole? My mom feels my sister should have married my husband instead of me. Let me give you a bit of backstory. My husband James, 34 male, and I, 29 female, were neighbors growing up. My sister Fran, 34 female, was in the same grade as my husband growing up. Everyone knew my sister in school because she is very smart and beautiful. James had a crush on her, and all of us knew about it. He asked her out of senior prom, and Fran shot him down in front of the whole school. They still remain friends, but he moved to a different state for college, and we did not hear much from him except seeing him when he came back for holidays. James and I were never friends growing up, since I was in middle school when this happened. In fact, I was much younger than both of them, and they would actively avoid me or involving me in their hangouts and activities. I went to a good college and got my first job in the same city as James. My mom suggested I should contact James since I did not know anyone there. We became friends, and 3 years later, we got married. We both have high-paying jobs and love our life. We moved back to our hometown during COVID as James' mom had health issues, and our jobs allowed us to work remotely. Fran also had a pretty good life. She married when she was 23, and her husband was pretty well off. 2 years ago, Fran discovered that he was cheating on her for almost the entire duration of their marriage with multiple partners, and she decided to break things off. Fran moved back with my mom. Fran had not worked for the entire duration of their marriage and was expecting to gain significant alimony from the divorce. However, due to complications regarding prenup, she barely got anything and is struggling financially. She got a job but is barely able to afford her own place and continues living with my mom. James and I were very supportive of her during the whole process. Since James and Fran were friends growing up, they both have a special bond. They have their inside jokes and stories, and I sometimes feel like a third wheel when we all meet. However, James keeps his distance and has never given me any reason to believe that he has lingering feelings for her. Fran, on the other hand, constantly visits us like 3 times, 2 times a week, and ends up staying for dinner and sleeping in our guest room. I don't mind her coming over, but I do not like the fact that she talks more to James than with me. Also, she always comes over when I'm not home, and I often find them sitting next to each other on the sofa watching TV when I get home. It sort of reminds me of my childhood where I was locked out of our basement when Fran had friends over and I would feel left out. Fran is also too comfortable around James and walks around the house in just a towel after her shower when James is around, or sleeps in her underwear in the guest room without locking the door. I have voiced my concerns to her, but she says that we are family and she does not care. I have also voiced my concerns to James, and he does make efforts now to explain stories and inside jokes if Fran makes them. The main issue happened this weekend. I was hanging out with my mom and Fran last weekend, and Fran was recollecting stories about how James would do her homework and do chores for her growing up. She said he was so much in love with me, and I felt guilty taking advantage of him. My mom drunkenly said to her that I wish you had the wits to marry James than your loser husband, and you would have not been in this situation. Fran smiled after hearing that and nodded, but I was hurt by the comment. I protested to my mom that James is my husband, and I do not want her to make such comments about him. My mom doubled down and said that she feels like it's because both James and I are high earners while Fran is struggling. So it would make sense if Fran was married to James, and I would be fine since I do not need James to support me financially. She kept on saying she thought it was a hypothetical and just wants both her daughters to be happy. I did not like those comments and told him not to speak like that about James and my marriage in general. Fran jumped in and told me that I should not take the comments so personally, and I am being too sensitive. However, I had a fight with both of them and I left. When I came home and I told James, he also sided with my mom and Fran and told me that my mom just made a harmless joke. I also raised the issue of Fran's behavior around our house, and he told me that this is between me and my sister, and he's not going to tell Fran about what she can or can't wear in our house. However, I am just feeling really bad since the situation, and despite everyone apologizing to me, things just don't feel right. Am I wrong here in reacting the way I did? Or does everyone else have a point, and I should be more secure about my relationship with James? I don't think OP did anything wrong. All she did was stand up for herself. Honestly, if you don't stand up for yourself against crazy family members, they're just gonna walk all over you. Because what do you mean? What do you mean? I wish you married your sister's husband. That's so weird. I would be pissed too if someone said that. If my mom said that to my sister about my husband. My husband is my husband. If life is not going well for Fran, then that's her business. But at the end of the day, what? That makes no sense. Am I the a-hole for calling my girlfriend childish and telling her to leave after she intentionally destroyed a gift that I got from my little sister? My girlfriend Megan and I stayed together. She had a fight with her parents and asked if we could move in together, so we did. Not too long ago, I had to take my little sister in. I can't disclose much except the fact that I was her only option. When we had to talk about me having to take my sister in, Megan did not like the idea. She told me that I was too young to have such a responsibility. What will happen when we get married and have our own kids? Our place was too small, etc., but didn't outright say she had an issue with it. I obviously couldn't turn my back on my sister, so I went ahead with it despite her reservations. Although my sister has always been friendly to Megan from the moment she met her, Megan is always just indifferent. And it sucks because my sister really admires her and enjoys talking to her. I just thought maybe they don't connect because of my sister's age. A month ago, I bought my sister a Switch. She has always wanted one and all her friends have it. I figured she deserved it as she does well at school, helps with chores, and is generally a well-behaved kid. She loved it and she has been taking good care of it. Megan wasn't happy when I bought it. She actually sold. She would borrow the Switch incessantly, and my sister would not say no, maybe because she was afraid to. But Megan would use it so much that it felt like it belonged to her. My sister never said anything. She would just patiently wait for her turn. Sometimes Megan would use it even when my sister was at school and saying that she gets bored when I'm at work. All this made me uncomfortable, so I asked her to please tone it down on the Switch. It's unfair on my sister. It was her gift. Megan agreed, although it was clear that she was upset. She gave us the silent treatment for the rest of the night. Last week, when I came back from picking up my sister from school after work, we found her Switch broken. And that's putting it lightly. It looked like it was deliberately smashed. My sister was distraught. When I asked Megan what happened, she told us that she accidentally dropped it and it broke. It was obvious that she was lying. And when I pointed that out all the other times where she seemed to have an issue with an 11-year-old for no reason, she got annoyed and told me that everything was fine until my sister moved in. I called her childish and asked her to please pack her bags and go back to her parents' house because I need space and time to think. This only made her more annoyed, but she eventually left. Her best friend texted me last night to tell me that I was an a-hole for kicking Megan out because on top of everything else, I know how rocky her relationship with her parents are. Does this make me an a-hole? I mean, it's not like he's kicking her out for no reason. After all, he did, welcome her in his home after her parents fought with her. Plus, like, why is she beefing with the 11-year-old child? At the end of the day, if I was with someone and they were to tell me, oh, you know, your siblings, one of your siblings who needed me can't stay with us because they're just being, like, I would say no. My siblings and my family are my priority too. Like, if you don't want to be with someone who, you know, is taking care of someone else, you know, then there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you can't just tell people that they can't take care of one of their family members just because you're a selfish brat.